Hello, dear. It's Heather, and you're watching Save Today with Heather J. I am somebody who has spent her entire adult life living paycheck to paycheck, being one life event away from financial crisis. I have decided that that needs to change and that cannot continue forward, so I have created a budget for myself that I intend to stick to. But budgeting in the past has been very difficult for me, in part because my budget has been, I've had so little income to work with in comparison to the outgoing, and because I find it not very exciting. It tends to be, it feels a little bit like drudgery work. So, in order to hold myself accountable, I have decided to create a YouTube channel and invite you guys along with me in that journey. Hopefully, at some point, I will be able to say I used to be somebody who lives paycheck to paycheck, but that is not the case for me yet. By checking in with you guys, I'm forced to check in with myself, and that so far has helped keep me accountable and helped me kind of see a little bit further. Each time I check in, I can see a little bit further as to where things are going and how close each step is a little bit less further away. That light at the end of the tunnel is perhaps getting a little bit closer. I don't know. All of the I don't know the words I'm searching for. Anyway, today's video, what we are doing is doing my week 4 spending check-in for June. For me, the month of June is a 3 paycheck month. I have 6 weeks in that paycheck, and that is just because where June 1st lies within my pay cycle and where July 1st lies within my pay cycle. So for me, the month of June started May 19th and ends June 29th. June 30th, June 29th. And so week 4, this past week, June 9th to June 15th is week 4 for me. And I'm going to do some check-in with my flexible spending. When I'm checking in, I'm looking at my groceries, my dining out, my transportation, art, and miscellaneous. Those are the things I have some flexibility in, some control in. I can choose where I go to get my groceries. I can choose how I get to work, whether that's the bus or by car. I can choose whether I spend money on my art or not at that point in time. So that's my flexible spending, things I have control over. Those are the spendings that happen more frequently and need to be evaluated more frequently. So that's what we're here doing today with checking in my week 4 spending. So I'm just going to get right into this today. I have this page covered up. This was just my 1, 2, 3, and week 1, week 2, week 3 carried over here. And so now we're getting into week 4. So I'm just covering this page up just to kind of slow down some of that visual busyness. So my first transaction in week 4 of June for me was on the 9th. I, in the groceries category, went to Kroger and got some groceries. I believe I was getting some hot dog buns, some cookies. My grandkids like the Pirouette stick cookies that come in the tin can, and they had requested that I get that. I believe I also had to get some sprinkled cheese for quesadillas and a couple of other things, but obviously not a whole lot. I only spent $13.52 there. Then on the 10th, I went to the farmer's market. The farmer's market happens very near to me every Saturday. And I have gone probably every other week for the last, I don't know, 6 or 8 weeks. And this was the first time I had actually gone and made a purchase at the farmer's market. This first transaction was a meat vendor, and I paid $21.75. He had a Saturday special meat box that had, I think, 4 pounds of ground hamburger meat and 2 chuck steaks. Super duper cheap quality of meat for a very reduced price at $25. He only took cash or PayPal, and I didn't have $25 in cash on me. And I do have a PayPal account, but I haven't used it in ages, so I wasn't 100% certain which account that was drawn off of. If I had the funds in that particular account, it may be an account that had been closed. Anyway, I wasn't going to do PayPal. I wasn't prepared to do that. They did have an ATM within the farmer's market, and I pulled $20 in cash out and then had the $5 difference in cash. And then it was $1.75 ATM fee. So $21.75 to get some meat from the meat vendor. If I like the meat, I may choose to go buy more meat. I, at some point, would like to get to the point where I can buy half or a whole hog and or cow, but I'm not there yet. In the meantime, I want to be searching for the meat vendor who I would like to be able to do that when that time comes, so that I already have that relationship established and I'm not then searching for, it's a huge financial purchase. So that's what that was, to just get the cheapest meat he had available, to see what his meat tasted like and how it was processed. Then also at the farmer's market, I went to a vendor and I used my ATM card for that, and their name was White Yarrow, and that was I got 3 potted herbs. I got Genovese basil, some purple basil, and some sage in potted plants, so that I can start building my kitchen herbs up. And then I got 4 carrots, just some fresh homegrown carrots, and then a bag of salad mix. And I think that might be it. There may be one other thing that I'm forgetting at this point in time. But that was $16 on the in my ATM, or not, yeah, with my debit card, not ATM. Then on the 10th, in the miscellaneous category, I went to the Green Bee. Again, this is a miscellaneous category that comes up a lot. I needed to get some bar soap, and initially I was just going to get some bar soap from the grocery store. I may or may not have mentioned it on this channel yet, but I make my own soap. I am a soap maker. And as I've discussed several times through these videos, all of the things I own are currently in storage boxes on the other side of the country, and I have yet to bring them over here. So I don't have any of the soaps I've already made, and I don't have access to my ingredients and my supplies to make some more. And I wanted a better quality bar of soap than what I could get at the grocery store. I had been, the last time when I ran out, I just went to the grocery store and got Caress, because from the grocery store, that's the bar soap that I enjoy the most. But I was now running out of the Caress and needed some more, and I just chose to get some better quality homemade soap from the Green Bee, and I ended up buying 2 bars of soap. I was only planning to buy 1, but there were 2 that smelled amazing, and I wanted to give those a try. And so that was $17.12 for 2 bars of homemade soap. I hear some of you falling out of your chair right now, but as somebody who has as many allergies as I do and sensitivities as I do, this is worth it to me, to have one way of reducing some of the chemicals and things I'm exposed to in an effort to reduce that. So that was my miscellaneous category. Then on the 15th, I in the dining out category, once again bought myself Jimmy John's for lunch. I don't buy myself Jimmy John's for lunch at work because I think it's amazing food. I enjoy their food, but they deliver, they're closest to where I work. And as I've mentioned, I take the bus to work and don't have access to go driving somewhere. And so they're a quick fix on a day when I decide that at the last minute I don't have what I need to take food with me. And so that's Jimmy John's, $17.10 today. I did just get a sandwich and a cookie. We had chips at work, and I had my water bottle, and so I chose to not get chips and a drink. And I did give the driver a $3 tip. Once that came out of my budget and I could compare that to weeks previous, I see that I only saved about $2. So it wasn't a very significant savings to not have the chips and the drink added to that. Then on the 15th, I think this dining out at Jimmy John's was the 14th. For some reason, probably because there's a driver tip in there, that comes the day after. On the 15th, in the groceries category, I went to Aldi's and I spent $16.50. Aldi's is right next door to the store I work at. It's kind of a discount grocery store. And I once again did not have lunch. And instead of getting fast food, I decided I would go ahead and get something fresh from the grocery store in the 15 minutes before I had to be into work. And then I got yogurt, a salad kit, like a grown-up Lunchables where it was cheese and salami and cracker sticks. What else did I get? A box of cookies. I don't know, a couple of other things. I walked out of there kind of juggling all of that stuff and trying not to drop it, but I spent $16.50. Once again, both of these purchases, if I had prepared my shopping and my cooking better in the days previous, then these transactions would not have happened. I only mention that because this is something I'm continuing every week to struggle with, how to reduce some of this last minute quick meal spending, because that is a crutch I tend to lean on an awful lot, and I'm trying very hard to change that. And at this point, it's really just the awareness. And I have reduced a lot and chosen to bring food on days that I would have previously not. Like, I'm having that conversation in my head and going, so we're getting there. It's just not been an overnight magical thing. And if I wasn't checking in, I wouldn't be as aware as frequently as I am now that we're doing all this checking in with you guys. And then in the dining out category, once again on the 15th, we went to dinner at Dairy Queen and I spent $26.17, 2 burgers, a fry, some curds, 2 drinks, and a shake. Again, another situation where I hadn't planned ahead enough, and so now we were at the last minute trying to figure it out at the last minute on the way home from work at 8:30 at night, when we could have been better prepared. And then the very last transaction I have for this week in my flexible spending is just in the transportation category. I did take the bus 4 times again this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. There were some storms blowing through, so on 2 of those 4 days, it was really touch and go. Actually spent all day the previous day watching the weather report for rain and having to set my alarm for 5:30 in the morning and double check that to make sure that when I needed to go to work midday, that the rain was not being predicted. And luckily, I just missed the rain window on those 2 days, so I was able to take the bus those 4 days, those 4 days, for a total of $4. Now I'm going to switch, go to the next page, and we're going to go over what those totals look like. Oop, that's supposed to go there, and that goes there. And again, this is week 1, 2, and 3's totals, and so just for some visual, to silence some of that busyness, I'm going to cover that up. So in the groceries category for week 4, let me get this set up and ready for us. Oh, I do need these numbers so I guess I won't cover that up because I need that from the previous week. Maybe I'll just do that. Doesn't matter, it's fine. So in the groceries category, those 4 transactions, was it 4 at the groceries? Yeah, I spent $67.77 in those 4 grocery categories. Last week I had $219.54 left in groceries, and this week I spent $67.77, and so I still have left $151.77 in this category in my estimated budget for groceries to get me through the next 2 weeks. And then in dining out, I what did I have? 2 or 3 transactions for dining out? I had 2. Last week, I only had $17.78 left in my dining out category. And this week I spent $43.27, which means I am over budget in that category by $25.49. And I still have 2 more weeks to go. So we'll have to see how I do those next 2 weeks. Am I not going out at all? Do I continue to go out once or twice a week? We'll have to see. I'm already negative in that category. So in transportation, I just had $4 in transportation. Last week, I still had $77.10. I spent $4. That means this week I have $73.10 left to carry me through the next 2 weeks. And I believe I'm going to be getting 1 tank of gas each of those weeks, so we'll see how that goes. And then in my art, I didn't end up spending anything in my art this week, and so I still have $41.12 left from last week. And then in my miscellaneous category, I did spend $17.12, but I was already negative $52.93. And then I spent a further $17.12, which means I'm over in my miscellaneous category by $70.05. And what was my miscellaneous? That was the soap. I did not have to get soap from the Green Bee. I did not have to get 2 bars of soap. I could have gotten some Caress for $5 or $6 and had that be part of my grocery category. I don't think I'm going to decide that that was a mistake, though. I think that I value the homemade soap and the quality enough that I will justify that within my budget and not feel bad that that is negative. Once again, these budgets are just estimates, and as this is only my 2nd month in, I'm not yet aware of what is realistic for me and where that's going. So I'm not going to be beating myself up too much this early on. I'm just going to be aware and conscious of the choices I'm making. So that means for the week in total, I spent a whole $132.16. Last week, I was left with $302.61, and I spent the $132.16 this week, which leaves me with $170.45 in my budget for the next 2 weeks. If I only spend this $170 or less, then I will finish out my estimate in green, basically, with extra money. But that isn't super duper realistic. 170, 45 divided by 2, $85 a week doesn't seem really realistic. And when we consider 2 tanks of gas in that amount of time, we're looking at $45 a week. So we can assume I'm likely going to end up in the red here at the end of the month unless something really drastic happens here. Obviously, I'm not going to try and have another week where I'm trying to spend $612 in my flexible spending. That was pretty insane. But that was a lot of groceries and a lot of dining out. That was a lot of food purchases following a week where I only had $5 in food purchases there. So, and then the week before that, 81. So that was kind of a bit of a catch-up situation happening. So again, we're learning. This is very eye-opening, and we just have to keep following through and checking in and see where we end up. Even if my estimate, how do I want to say that? I don't have flexible spending or extra savings in my account. I don't have a buffer there, really. So when my account is at or close to 0, I will be forced to have my spending be something like it was this week at $32.94. So it is possible that in these next 2 weeks, I could have very low spending just based on what's happening in the realities of my account and my other bills. So we'll see how that plays out as we finish out the month. That is it for my week 4 spending check-in. Some of the other things we have coming down the pike, we have to close out my paycheck number 2 and see how that does. We have to set up my paycheck number 3 and see what that's looking like. So we have some more things coming up here in a little bit. By the time I get those done, we're probably going to be looking at my week 5 check-in. And then we also have to evaluate kind of where I'm at with some of my big bills and what's done and not done. So that's it for today's budgeting portion of today's video. And for those of you who that's all you're here for, thanks for stopping in. I did very quickly want to go over the project that I'm working on in the background. For those of you who are new to me and haven't heard me say this yet, I've chosen to bring my personality into my video by having a project I'm working on be the background of the video and talking about it at the end, in an effort to keep myself engaged and continuing doing this. I've been working on a pillow that my granddaughter asked me to make. She bought a heart-shaped pillow form and asked me to make this. I was having some trouble. I took it apart and started again. And so that's where I'm at today. If you watched my last video, you'll see where I'm at with that. So all I've done so far today is take this side seam apart and take out that zipper. And now I have stitched in this little bit of trim that's going to go where the zipper is and kind of do a better job of hiding that zipper. The next thing I need to do is get that zipper in here. I don't even know if I'm in frame. Is to stitch this zipper in and have that be a little bit tighter in. And so that's where we're at for here. A little bit choppy, short video today. And thank you guys for hanging out with me. And I will see you probably on Monday with either my paycheck number 2 closeout or my paycheck number 3 setup. So I look forward to seeing you guys. Thank you so much for joining me in this journey, and we'll just keep moving forward. Have fun. Bye-bye now.